You're listening to Ecto Portal, a journey into the unknown with Anthony Anderson and Verna Wilson.
I hope that you are seated comfortably, with the light turned down and the curtains drawn.
Somebody there?
Hello, once again, to another journey into the unexplored, the unexplained, Ecto Portal. I'm Anthony Anderson, your host, and I'm here with my co-host,
Verna Wilson. Hi, everybody.
This week's story is another creepy haunted hotel, because everybody loves episodes about creepy haunted hotels. I stayed at this one. It's the Haunted Congress Plaza Hotel of Chicago. A lot of history there, a lot of crime, mob history. The Chicago World's Fair, the 1800s. There's just a lot of dark history in this hotel. And trust me, the evidence I gathered, which I'll be playing some of this episode, some of the EVPs, you'll see what I'm talking about. It looks dank, run down, and old. It's wonderful.
It lived up to its reputation.
Oh, for an investigator, it's heaven. So I'm going to give you the history and all the haunting stories of the plaza, of the Congress. And it's going to be, you'll want to stay there. If you're an investigator, you'll want to stay there after I tell you.
Did you ever ask the workers if they, or you're going to talk about that?
We'll talk about it.
Okay.
All right, so what did you do? What have you done lately?
Well, besides trying to get to my writing, I'm trying to renovate and declutter my studio because this small space, if you have too much stuff, it really gets crowded quickly.
Yeah.
So it's been, I believe it or not, it doesn't look like it, but I'm almost done, believe it or not. I know it doesn't look like it because it's always a big mess before you get to the neater part.
Yes.
Just on one corner, it doesn't look like it, but actually, it's just a matter of where to put the rest of the stuff, and I only have one more bin to. What are you looking at?
No, I was just noticing you're like me where a lot of shelves are good because they keep stuff put away and up off the floor. That's why I have a lot of shelves. Same reason. I was just noticing you have the same reason I do.
I do, but I'm going to get rid of that one, actually.
Okay.
I'm getting rid of that.
That'll free up a nice
And I'm
wall
going to put
there.
up,
That'll free up a good wall.
It'll free up a good, I'm getting rid of that, and I'm getting a workstation there. And anyway, I have stuff that's left over for when my family members lived in the city, and I'm holding their stuff for them. But not that, Linda. But it's not that much though. I was able to put her stuff in one place.
One of our former hosts on the show.
Yes, Linda Walker was our former host. She was.
Hi, Linda.
Yeah, she was she was our newswoman.
Yep.
Yeah, but anyway, Linda, I have all your stuff in one place. So it's just a process, and it's making me frustrated, but I'm getting to it.
Yep.
And what about you?
Lately, I don't know why I thought of this, but lately I've been trying to find, just when I go on investigations, I get so frustrated having cameras where the battery dies after 90 minutes, or have to charge it up, or something's wrong with the camera, it doesn't work right, this is what I thought it was, I can't figure something out while I'm investigating, I waste time. So I've been on the search for a decent HD camera that will last 5 or 6 hours, the battery life, and also storage that's the same amount, like 5 or 6 hours. so that I don't have to keep like starting and stopping and charging something up, wondering why this isn't working. I want something that's going to work when I go in and investigate. So I've been buying different little HD recorders, some voice recorders off Temu. So I've this last time I bought 3 different models, different brands of them at the same time. I thought, you know what, let me just spend the money and buy one of each, find the one that's really good, if there is one. So I tested them out and I showed it to you. It's literally the size of a voice recorder, but it also records HD video for about 3 hours. You can use it as a voice recorder that switches to a voice recorder and WAV files, and has night vision with the flick of a switch. But the battery life was 3.5 hours, and it stored about 3 hours of recordings on it. So for a ghost hunter, it's awesome. It was about $35 on Temu, and if you have a larger storage capacity, which goes up to 6 hours, of course it's like $55 or $60. But if it lasts 6 hours and it records 6 hours of material, you're never going to have it shut off or die. It takes 3 hours to charge up. It's all internal. It's a little USB cable. It's great. I love it. I showed you that one.
Yeah, it's something you can leave in a room for quite a while you do other things, and you never know what it's going to capture.
And the fact that it has a switch on the side where you can turn it to night vision from regular HD video.
That's very
awesome. Cool. Yeah, a lot of recorders do that, and it's good night vision. It actually is pretty good considering the size of it. So and it has a little.
Now, where did you learn about this? Have other investigators used it, or is it something you just thought of on your own?
No, just searching, looking, see what I could find. It has a little clip on it, so you can actually clip it to yourself.
Oh, that's cool.
Almost as a body camera, so you don't have to hold it. You can walk around investigating, and it's recording all the footage, which is great.
They probably made that type of recorder especially for stuff like that.
It doesn't say that it was, but it's awfully convenient that you can switch it to night vision, but it also has it so you can put it on the dashboard of your car as a dash cam.
Oh, that's interesting.
So it has multi-purposes, but it was $30 for a 32 gig one. Like I said, 3 hours of storage and 3 hours of battery life. And then it goes up to like 64 gigabytes and 128 gigabytes, and $55 to $60 being the highest one. I love it, so I'm definitely gonna get another model, because a lot of stuff on Temu, it's there and then it's gone and it just vanishes. That's it. Kind of like a Trader Joe's.
Right. Oh, yeah, I get you.
The product's there. 2 weeks later, you never see it again.
I do understand that about Trader Joe's.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at those, because, and there's K2 meters for $11 on Temu. They're usually $60 on Amazon and other places, but
that's very cool. I like discovering stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it also, it makes you wonder, where are they getting these distributors? Are they good quality? But,
Well, a lot of it's all made in China, but a lot of the Chinese companies will take something, take it apart, make their own version of it using the exact same kind of pieces, and charge you a heck of a lot less. So these K2 meters, I noticed they're a little smaller than the old American ones that used to go for $60. Little bit smaller, but they look exactly the same. I've never had a problem with one. I bought about 6 of them because we use them on the walking tour, the pub crawl. And so I wanted to get a few extras, in case I lose one, investigations.
Right.
Whatever. They're great.
Always good to have a supply.
They're absolutely great. They work wonderful. But for the price, $11 is not bad.
$11 is actually a steal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's just what I've been doing lately. What do you say, go on to the paranormal news?
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do it. All right, welcome back to the paranormal news. I'm going to start us off with an urban explorer. Let me pull it up here real quick. An urban explorer in Belfast. He was exploring an abandoned mortuary when he heard voices after a body was returned to family without a brain. So Ben James investigated a mortuary in Northern Ireland, which closed in 2017, and he reported hearing ghostly voices even though he thought he was alone inside. It was an abandoned. When a body was returned to its family without a brain, he heard a man crying within its walls. The site in Belfast was closed, like I said, in 2017 after a range of failures, culminating in a mistake. 6 years after it was closed down for the last time, it was visited by Ben James, 32, of Cambridge. He found embalming certificates of real people as well as death records. He says that people who went through the mortuary now haunt the building. And he spent about 2 hours exploring and described it as incredibly creepy. He heard bangs from different rooms and what sounded like a man crying even though he was alone in the building. He also found what he described as a burial suite in the freezer. Or burial suit, sorry. He said it was definitely haunted. The locals heard noises and screams at night. It felt very dark, and he heard bangs, and like I said, in the next room he couldn't explain.
Well, that place wasn't run well.
No, the coolest thing about it is that it still has some of the death certificates and the ambulance certificates. It's been abandoned for 7 years. That was why it was shut down. The body was returned to
What
the
if
family.
you try to contact their families?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why it was shut down. A body was returned to its family, but the brain was missing. That's why they had to close the facility. Apparently, they never found his brain.
Oh.
Yeah, so he just said he found this out. He visited, and it's still standing. Nobody's torn it down, but that's interesting. I would love to explore a place like that. That'd be great.
Yeah, but it was badly run wherever it was.
Just don't die there. They're going to steal your brain.
You know, it's interesting when he said that he thought he was alone, but he heard sounds. One time, my boyfriend and I were at a columbarium. We were on the top floor. And you know how when you're in a columbarium, you're reading all the history of the people, when they were born, when they died, what their names were, their family. They have all the niches there. And then we were walking around, and we were the only ones up there. And all of a sudden, we heard the voice of a very elderly man. I mean, you know how sometimes an older person's voice can sound very thin and warbly? Yeah. It sounded like it was coming from like an echo, like from calling from far away. He said, "Hello!" And we both turned around at the same time. It was so loud, and we were the only ones up there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Stuff happens.
It does.
When you least expect it, usually.
Yeah.
So what do you got?
I have a very short article.
Is this the one that's about Linda? No.
I could write a lot of articles about Linda. But
We all could.
yeah. This one is about cops called after an argument breaks out over Bigfoot.
Uh-oh. I didn't realize you'd have to call the cops.
I didn't realize you could argue that much about Bigfoot.
Exactly. Have the cops called.
Well, this was, anyway, this happened at a Burger King. Officers responded just after 2:30 p.m. when a witness reported that a panhandler who sits in front of the building was asking for money was in an argument with another man. So the officers arrived on the scene, and they discovered that the two men were arguing over Bigfoot. And they didn't go into the exact details of the argument, but they did advise the two to keep it down. And it made me wonder, how did that turn out to be news? I mean...
So what were they arguing about Bigfoot? Whether he gets a double Whopper?
They didn't
or a
say what the
single
argument
Whopper?
was about, but the argument was about Bigfoot.
Does Bigfoot get a Whopper with cheese or without cheese?
I mean, is Bigfoot
Can you
worth
imagine
arguing about and
being-
calling the cops? I
Can
mean,
you imagine being the cop having to write out that report? So what was the cause of this disturbance, you two? Well, he said Bigfoot was such and such. Oh, he said Bigfoot was such and such. I'd be like, you actually called us down here to break up your Bigfoot discussion in front of Burger King?
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know why that made news.
Ridiculous.
It was ridiculous. Why did that make news?
I don't know. Well, maybe because we've never found a Bigfoot and we're still waiting.
And they think it's funny. And I don't know. I mean, you and I think we've only had one Bigfoot person. Bigfoot person.
Bigfoot enthusiast.
Bigfoot
investigator
on this show.
Yeah.
She was great.
it was a good show.
It was a great show. But we've been hoping to get more Bigfoot people. Bigfoot
people with big feet, I guess you say. Do you
Bigfoot.
have a big foot?
Well,
Would you like to be on the show?
We've been hoping to get more people investigating Bigfoot on this show.
Interested in Bigfoot
Yeah.
investigations.
I mean, I've tried. I'm not going to go into it. One guy had a show about Bigfoot, but I'm not going to go
Well,
into.
you can probably go on YouTube and look on their groups of people who do that and probably ask them.
Well, I will now.
So
This
maybe
was
we should
5
do
years
that.
ago, and it didn't work. It didn't work then because I kept getting flaky responses. But
Yeah.
maybe this
We'll
time
try
it
it
will.
again. All
And
right.
if some, yeah, okay. Anyway,
try it again.
what's going? What else is going on with you?
That's it.
That's it. Okay.
That's it. All right,
Cool.
folks. Stay tuned. That's the paranormal news. Okay, welcome back. This week's subject is another haunted hotel. I know you love those. The Haunted Congress Plaza Hotel of Chicago. Now, during COVID lockdown, I actually stayed at this hotel, and we were the only two people on this floor of this section of the hotel. It wasn't the oldest. We wanted to stay in the oldest section, but they weren't letting anybody stay in the oldest section. So we had to stay in the section across
Why wouldn't they
the
let
way.
anybody?
I think because during COVID they locked down certain parts of the hotel, because why have people roaming, having to clean the whole hotel when you can keep them in a certain area? I think that makes sense to me.
Okay.
So, this is a very, very interesting hotel. It's been around forever, since the 1800s in Chicago. A lot of gangster activity, Al Capone, people have died there, people have been whacked there. Just a lot of stuff's happened there. Well, like I said, I was recently staying there during COVID lockdown. There's murders, gangsters, serial killers of the past. It's a perfect place to do an impromptu investigation, which is what we did. We chose one of the oldest, grandest landmark hotels in Chicago. It was built in 1893 during the World's Fair. The South Tower, the North Tower was added later in 1909. The hotel stands along Michigan Avenue across from the Buckingham Fountain, and it's considered the most haunted hotel in Chicago. And it has, Stephen King had a stay there, and it had enough atmosphere to inspire him to write a short story called 1408, which is also made into a movie, about a cursed hotel due to victims of suicide. Now, famous guests have stayed at the Congress, including Grover Cleveland, William McKinley, Teddy Roosevelt, William Howard Taft, Woodrow Wilson, Warren Harding, Calvin Coolidge, and Franklin Roosevelt, all working out of the Grand Building at some time or another. Now, there are stories that include the ghost of Al Capone seen in the lobby and the bar over the years. Capone used to do his business in the hotel, so it's said, and this included the violent demise of some of his associates, many of which lived in the hotel during the Roaring Twenties and into the Depression era of the 1930s. The ghost of Peg Leg Johnny is one of the most frequently seen in the hotel.
Tell more about who's Peg Leg Johnny.
He loves to play havoc with all the electricity and is seen in the hotel dining room and on different floors strolling down the hallways. Legend has it that Johnny was a homeless man who was murdered in the hotel, and his body was found inside the closet of the Gold Room, which is a giant banquet room.
That sounds ugly.
Exactly. The Gold Room was also where the Hands of Mystery happens. In the past, an employee was trapped behind a wall, unable to escape, and slowly and tragically suffocated to death.
Yow.
Guests have claimed to see a single gloved hand reaching out of the closet. Could this be Peg Leg Johnny, or the hand reaching for help by the trapped employee that was in the hotel?
Yow.
It's funny, when we investigated at night, we roamed the hotel, only to find the old section of the hotel, the original one. Mm-hmm. People weren't staying there, but they didn't close it off. So we were investigating this whole wing of this hotel, and nobody was staying there, and the lights were half off on all these hallways. It was actually kind of spooky.
You can imagine the atmosphere was pretty eerie. Yeah.
And in this Gold Room, we snuck into the upper balcony. Mm-hmm. One of the doors was unlocked. We were looking around and doing a little EVP work, and all the lights were off in the whole ballroom. All of a sudden, the security guard comes in down below and goes, "Is somebody up there?" We're like, "Oh crap!"
Yeah, I'm caught.
Yeah, we were caught. So we're like, "Oh, we went in the wrong door."
We didn't. We were trying to find another. We came here by accident.
Yeah, we said we're leaving, so we went back the way we came. But it was funny. So, of this hotel, the 12th floor is considered the most haunted and holds the hotel's darkest past. Guests have seen the ghost of a 6-year-old boy running around the hallways, Who is the little boy and why does he reside at the hotel? Hard to say. Could be that he met his untimely demise as he played, or maybe he saw something he shouldn't have. The Congress also housed a number of immigrants and refugees from other countries in the past. A young mother from Prague stayed on the 12th floor with her 2 sons, waiting for her husband to collect them. He never came and she was so distraught and had a mental breakdown, tossing her boys out of the window on the 12th floor along with herself.
That's somebody who's very
Distraught.
distraught and grief.
Now, eyewitness stories tell of the sound of 2 boys playing in the hallways and in the feeling as though someone's watching or following them. Nobody's ever reported seeing the ghost of the young mother, however. Now, employees are refused to work on this floor due to their own experiences and its past. There is a room on the 12th floor that has no number and it's padlocked. There have been reports of strange sounds coming from within. Padlock? What could be so awful that a former guest room has been padlocked from the hallway? Was this the room of the mother and her 2 sons, who all met their death? Now, in all of the Congress Hotel's 871 rooms, no one has generated more outreach and phone calls to the front desk than room 441. There have been no reported deaths in this room, but the calls continue to flow into the management. Folks who stay in the room claim to have seen a shadow figure of a woman standing at the foot of their bed, kicking the bedpost repeatedly.
You mean like this?
Exactly. Can you imagine waking up and seeing a woman doing that?
I would have got up from the bed and said, "Stop it!"
I'll kick you. Others claim objects move around of no accord, and strange and unsettling noises are heard. So frequent are these disturbances that the hotel removed the doorknob from the outside in the hallway, and only guests who request this room can stay there. It's not even offered as a general room due to the amount of complaints the hotel's received in the past.
So they removed. It could be that they're hearing like the doorknob, like they're hearing the door, and they think somebody's trying to get in, and that's why they removed
see
it.
That woman wake up with that woman standing at the foot of their bed, kicking the bed.
Yeah, I know, but why remove the doorknob from the outside?
Because they wanted it to look unavailable to the public.
Oh,
After so
okay.
many complaints.
All right. I thought
they
maybe
took the doorknob off.
Okay, I thought maybe
took
some
the
of the
number off
noises
the
was that
door.
somebody they can hear the
No.
doorknob being fiddled.
Nope.
Okay, all right.
So one really disturbing fact is that notorious serial killer H.H. Holmes used to loiter in the lobby in 1893. Now, do you remember H.H. Holmes? He built his murder castle in Chicago during
right.
the World's
Okay.
Fair. He used to get victims to come stay in his hotel, and then he'd drop them into his basement. He'd cut them up. And
Unfortunately, I
do
think I've heard of him,
So
yeah.
he used to hang out and loiter in the lobby of the Congress to get young female guests who arrived alone. And when all the rooms were sold out, he'd say, "Oh, you should stay down the street at my hotel." And then he would get them to go to stay at his hotel. So that's where he got some more victims. So other rooms that have no access as well are room 666, closed off. I'm guessing it's for,
The numbers have something to do with it?
Exactly. Superstitious reasons. Room 209 has been sealed shut for good. One can only imagine what must have happened in that room to lead the hotel manager to simply seal it off.
They sure shut off a lot of rooms, don't they?
They do, but they have 171. They have a lot.
Okay.
So the Florentine room is another big banquet party room that guests reported seeing tables and chairs move by themselves, and some have heard the ghostly whisper of a young woman in their ears.
I wonder what she's saying to them.
I don't know. The elevator shafts hold grisly secrets of the past. One salesman flung himself down one of the elevator shafts in despair.
Yow.
In 1904, an elevator fell 70 feet to the subfloor. The operator fell 70 feet to the subfloor, so he fell down the shaft and died instantly. In July of 1926, Harriet Harrison was staying at the hotel with her husband before their European trip. She accidentally fell 6 floors to the basement.
How does she manage that?
I don't know. In the South Tower, a spirit hangs out by the elevator. Many have heard sounds of moans and groans.
Like the way that Disney from the Haunted House? Oh, the Haunted House album?
Floor 3, please. Terror clings to many rooms in the hotel as the pictures rotate on the wall in front of guests. Not long ago, an exorcism was held in the hotel before the victim was safely moved to a religious house. In 1989, two tough Marines were scampering down a hallway in their boxers in the early morning hours, escaping what they claim was a tall black figure that drifted into the room from the closet.
Wow.
We checked in at, like I said, about 5 o'clock. We were in the North Tower, dropped off our luggage. We investigated for a while. The sun went down, dark clouds ahead. The room was very white. Each of the large, tall ceilings. There was one little tiny little picture on each wall, and that was it. Very odd. It seemed like it had a 1990s makeover. It was clean, but nothing fancy. It looked like a hospital room, to be honest with you. We had a small group. We investigated for a while. We got some EMF detecting activity. The Ovilus EMF detector went off. We got some EVPs. So we investigated for quite a while. We investigated the 4th and the 12th floor to see if we could contact the woman and her sons and that kind of thing. We moved as a group, did EVP bursts, asked about the kids. Are your kids here? You're trying to find the kids? Then we called it a night, and just before we went to sleep, I actually decided, well, I'm gonna, who knows, if I'm only here one night, let me see what I can do. Nobody else was in the hotel, right? So I said, on each floor, there's a little cupboard. Just as you come, you have to come in the doors to go into the hallway where your rooms are. To the right is this little square cupboard with a door. It was the old dumbwaiter elevator shaft.
Oh, right.
So that the dumbwaiter would bring the tray up to that floor.
During Prohibition.
For years.
For years.
Not just
okay.
Prohibition.
Okay. I usually hear about those during Prohibition.
But obviously, if you open the door, you see there's old wooden planks laid down, and there's cakes of inches of dust. Nothing has moved in this dumbwaiter for decades.
Apparently, they haven't
Right?
bothered
It's
to clean it up.
Loose boards laid across. You could tell that the dumbwaiter is not used anymore, but you can open and look, and it's a shaft. If it was a little kid, they could fall down that shaft.
Yeah, that's not safe at
No,
all.
and it was on every floor you could open and look. So, but not every floor when you opened it had boards that laid across. So on our floor it did. So what I decided, nobody else is in this hotel. I'm going to take my voice recorder and I'm going to open this dumbwaiter and I'm going to leave it inside this cupboard on these boards.
Interesting.
Shut the door overnight, see what kind of audio I can gather, and then tomorrow morning I'll pick it up on our way out and see what I get. So I'm going to play you the EVPs I got from that. Some of these are from the EVPs I captured around the hotel while you're investigating, and some are in the actual dumbwaiter, and I'll tell you the difference between the two.
Okay.
So hold on just a second. Let me get this ready.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Stop it! You're ignorant.
They're coming for you, Barbara.
Stop it! You're acting like a child.
They're coming for you. Look, there comes one of them now.
Okay, so I'm going to kind of explain these as we go along. So this is as we're investigating, we're asking, is anybody here with us? And this first one, you literally hear, when I ask the question, you hear a man say Fritz Powell. He just says his name.
We're on the 12th floor, Tommy and Tony, in the older section of the hotel. Should we go down the hall and do it?
So he just literally says Fritz Powell. Fritz Powell. Okay, and this next one, you hear me ask a question, and this was kind of in a side... It's kind of a side service room facing the street that obviously the hotel staff uses as an elevator to the kitchens down below. So we're just standing there looking out the window, and I'm just calling out questions, and you hear a guy go, "Where's Parker?" Another guy goes, "Dead." "Dead?" "Yeah." It's all EVP, it's not even me.
What were the candles?
Yeah, so where's Parker at? Dead. Dead? Yeah. This is weird. They're having their own conversation.
I've noticed that in a number of places where people are acting like things been going on.
Isn't it weird?
Yeah.
Okay, this is another one where we're looking at the hallways, and I ask a question, and you hear just someone go, "Look alive." In other words, look alive, people. There's investigators coming.
It's interesting.
Okay, we are on the 4th floor, North Tower, Tony and Tommy, fire stove. I left off the elevator and it was a dark 4th floor. I wonder if they're not putting people on this floor.
Weird.
So they know that they weren't really, those people knew what you were going to do.
Yeah.
And they knew they weren't really,
Yep.
oh, wow.
Now, this one I'm asking, talking to the mother maybe, on the 12th floor, saying, what were you doing up here on the 12th floor? Why did you throw your kids out the window, whatever? And she says, to take my children. And someone else goes, hush. Hush her. So here, I'll play that for you.
Why did you kill your kids?
Children. Yeah, weird. Now this one sounds like a woman very frantic. Where did my kids run? Like, where's my kids?
Would you like to play ball in here? Kick a ball down the hall?
Weird.
That's, wow.
And then just a random one, a guy says, "Where's Bob?"
Goodbye. Help. 439. Right here. Is that 441? Yeah, it's okay. Right here. I'll take a picture like this. Good picture. Move a little closer towards it.
Where is Bob?
Where's Bob? Huh.
It sounds like kids in the background when we're on the same floor. You hear two kids, or kid go, "This is the last chance out." You're in the very background. The kid's like playing.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
I'm not sure how we did that. Go all the way down. Maybe if we move back around, we can get to over there. Yeah, all the way back there. Is that it?
Yeah, nobody. There was no kids. There was nobody on the floor at all but
I wonder
me and
what he
Tom.
meant by that.
This is the last chance out. It could be, maybe that's what the mother said before throwing him out the window.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, no, this is the stuff in the dumbwaiter overnight. This is
Okay.
This is the stuff I find even more fascinating than the stuff when we're walking around, because this is left, and this is when I did this. It's hours, sometimes 45 minutes between EVPs. So, and there's still you don't hear anybody else's voices. You don't hear any bangings, door closings, nothing. But you once in a great while you hear a voice, and an unusual sound, or someone will say something. But it's over the span of the whole night. So this wasn't all like in the same 5 minutes. This was the whole night, like 6 hours.
Wow.
So the first one, it's an interesting saying because it makes sense. The penguins are here.
The penguins are here.
There were a lot of waiters, and I looked at the staff at the hotel at that time.
Oh, the uniform,
In
black
the
and
30s
white.
and
Penguins.
20s, they were
Yeah.
dressed as penguins.
Penguins, that's a good one.
So the penguins are here. So this is one guy saying that. Penguins are here. Okay, next one is a man saying, "Don't talk," and a woman goes, "I'm so tall." She's complaining because she's so tall.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go. First, the man says, "Don't talk." Isn't that weird?
That's very weird.
This next one I thought was interesting because it happened throughout the whole night every once in a while, and it literally sounded like somebody choking.
Oh, wow.
Just the choking sound. And it would play for like a minute, and then it would stop, and 2 hours later it would start again for 45 seconds, and it would stop. So it was periodic, and I just put it on here once. Just
Somebody who had a tragic experience.
Yeah, I think so. So here's that. This one's interesting because for the longest time when I was going through these, like, what is this sound? What would make this sound? Even if it was someone else in the hotel, what would make a sound like this?
Yeah.
And then it occurred to me, the dumbwaiter would have been run by a pulley system, and you would have heard the squeaking wheels as they put the
Oh, yeah, right.
as it would
right.
rise and fall to different
Yeah, that
floors.
makes sense, yeah.
So it sounds like the pulley sound of the dumbwaiter, and then you hear someone go, "Mountains."
Mountains.
That's it. Weird. So here, I'll play that one. But first you'll hear the pulley sound, and then you'll hear the mountains. So, this is another woman. I was kept.
She was
Being
a kept
gangster's girlfriend or wife, she was a kept woman.
She was a kept woman.
And she's just telling people, I was kept. This is the scariest one. This one, every time I heard this, if I don't expect it's coming, it scared me. It literally is someone screaming, "Don killed people."
Ew.
Yeah. And he's really loud, and you'll hear it. So apparently Don was not a nice guy.
No, he sounds like a gangster, even the voice.
Exactly. This next one is just a simple "help me." This next one is even more interesting with gangsters because it says, "I covered the walls." Maybe before a hit, bring a guy up to the hotel room to kill him. They want to cover the walls so the blood doesn't splatter.
Or so that they don't hear the gunshots.
That could be too. And he says, "I covered the walls." Another one, a guy says, "Wasn't me." Again, more gangster. "Wasn't me." This one's kind of cute. This is one of my favorites. It's another woman. It's like she's introducing herself. She's saying, "Pretty Jane Hartford here."
All these old-fashioned names.
I know, right? And the next one says, "Guilty." And of course, just before I turned off the recorder, it was Tony. Yeah, so there's...
So somebody knew you.
Yeah.
You know, some of the voices of some of these women, you can hear their accents, and you can hear such an old-fashioned voice, and you can hear their accents and where they might have came from.
Well, even our
Even some of the men
even
too.
At St. Francis, Frank Moore here.
Frank Moore
has
here.
That old.
That's an old-fashioned
Yeah.
voice. Yeah, his voice had that old tone. People had a different tone and diction back then when
who
they
says
spoke.
Pretty Jane Hartford here.
Pretty Jane Hartford.
Who would say that now? No
Who
one.
would say that? Yeah, she must have been she could have been
Mob girlfriend. Or
a mob
something.
girlfriend because they had a lot of nicknames back then. Yeah,
Yep. Pretty
or
Jane Hartford.
or somebody who was staying there as a prostitute for money, and she was known as Pretty Jane Hartford.
Could be.
Yeah.
Hard to say.
Yeah,
But I'm so tall.
I'm so tall. That one is real old-fashioned voice. I'm so tall.
Yeah. Yeah, but Dawn killed people. It's just
Well,
really
that's a very gangster voice too.
killed people.
It almost sounds like the gangsters in Dick Tracy, like the old-fashioned voices, like the stereotypes.
Exactly. So we packed up, checked out, but I would love to go back to that hotel.
I wouldn't mind visiting that hotel.
Now
That
that I
would
know
be
the
cool.
dumbwaiter's there, hopefully I didn't blow that by giving that away, because then the hotel will close them up. But it's a great way to put
I
your
hope not
recorder
either.
in.
Yeah.
But during COVID lockdown, there was nobody there, so it was even better because people didn't make
was even
noise
better,
in the
yeah.
hallways and stuff.
Yeah.
This was nobody was there, so it was interesting. It was an interesting thing. All right, so that's our
That was
episode.
very cool.
That's our episode for this week, and until next week, we'll say goodbye.
Bye. See you next week.
Royalty-free, copyright-free music by Kevin MacLeod and Ross Bugden. Be sure to visit us at www.ectoportal.com. Check out our archives on YouTube and head on over for new episodes to ectoportal.podbean.com.